Welcome back to another episode of Titans of Now. Titans is a showcase of ServiceNow personalities that have punched above their weight and elevated the ServiceNow community. Titans of Now is brought to you by me, Robert the Duke Fedoric. If you want to see what I'm up to, check out my website, theduke.digital. Here you'll find all my CJ and the Duke episodes, links to my YouTube content, and my upcoming course, Hired, the definitive guide to profiles that win ServiceNow jobs. Hey everybody, welcome back to another Titans of Now. I am so happy to return to the Titans Now series, and today it is my honor to interview the community MVP. And what's astounding about him being a community MVP is that it only took him 3 years of total ServiceNow experience to get there. He is an absolute legend on LinkedIn. He's the guy who makes a couple statements, a couple little profound discoveries, gets 500 likes consistently. He is just a very important pillar of our community, a huge knowledge sharer, and it is my pleasure to introduce you to Maik Skoddow. Did I pronounce your last name right, Mike?
Yes, this is pronounced correctly. Thank you, Robert.
Awesome.
And it's an honor to be guest of your series, Titans of ServiceNow. When I entered the ServiceNow universe, I came across your videos and videos from Chuck Tomasi, and both of you were my idols, and it's really a great honor to be a guest here.
Oh, trust me, brother, the honor is mine. So you've told me that your origin story in ServiceNow 3 years ago has been told all over the internet. Maybe we can put a link below, but why don't you kind of show us how you started in tech? You had a picture in the pre-show. You want to share that again and tell us where you began?
My career in tech started when I was 12 years old. I was born in the eastern part of Germany. During that time, our country was named German Democratic Republic. And in my computer club, I had my first contact with a kind of computer, and let me show it. So this was my first contact with computers, the Eastern Germany version of a personal computer, and nowadays you only find this in museums. And yes, you see here the storage was cassette recorder, I think it's the right word now, and also the keyboard was really hard to hit the keys, and our monitor was a TV and black-white TV. So later we had some discs. This was a great enhancement, but far away from what we have now in the tech.
What kind of things were you doing on that?
It was the language you could use was a basic dialect, and you only had a prompt, a console, no graphic interface, and you just wrote down small programs for calculating some things, and that's it.
So in 3 years of doing ServiceNow, what part of the platform do you feel that you most resonate with?
Due to my role as an architect, of course, I'm highly interested in the foundation, in the platform itself, all the technique around this, all the things you can do with this. But I also have a sys for customer service management, and I think this is really a great product because there are so many parts of this portals and all the things, also in the new Joker release with all the AI stuff. And one of my favorite products is customer service management, and then the platform itself.
What's your most favorite thing that you've done on ServiceNow? The thing you're most proud about?
In my current project, we have to integrate a lot of data sources, and I wrote an integration for a high-speed import. I imported 4 million CIs from a remote system in 2 hours, and this was crazy.
5 million in 2 hours?
Yes.
How did you accomplish that? You didn't obviously didn't use just traditional import sets, did you?
Forget import sets. It's too slow. You have to do another way. I think I will write an article about this, but the secret is using the sys event table and pulling all the things you import into that table, and then you scale the creating of configuration items over the nodes. You have to spread the import over the different nodes you have in your ServiceNow instance. It's a bit complicated, not easy to explain, but I think I will write an article about this and illustrate this with some pictures.
I think so, man. Like, that's a huge dragon to slay. I have been in situations where we've had to import like large numbers of records. Man, the last time I did it, we had to break it up into a whole bunch of smaller chunks just to get it done.
Yeah.
Like that, it would time out. So if you're
Mm.
talking about that scale of activity on that short a time frame, I think the community desperately needs to know how you accomplished that. Who knows? Maybe ServiceNow can get you a knowledge speaking session, because
Mm.
that's pretty fire, man. So 3 years is kind of, I think a lot of people would say that that's, while not completely unknown, it's still a very short interval to learn the tool to such an extent that you have, ascend to the architecture ranks, get your certified technical architect, and then also like build such a following, such a loyal and engaged following. What do you think you've done differently?
Um, I'm often asked this, and I think the difference is my experience. I did not start with ServiceNow and implementing something. No? I started my career as a software developer in 21, and then I developed myself as an architect, a software architect. At that time, the IT had not this word architect. No? There were only developers and project managers. So, and there was a time when experienced developers, colleagues, former colleagues of mine, saw that there is something missing in between, a kind of role which is translating the world of the project manager and the customer into the world of a developer. And so we created, together with our HR department, this new kind of career path for a software architect, and we created a series of trainings, and I took the first round of this training, and for many years I was and I've worked as an architect. Later I changed my path to try something different, like project manager, service manager, requirements engineer. So I had a lot of experience in different roles, made a lot of larger and smaller projects in different technologies. So it was easier for me to jump on the train of ServiceNow. No? It was not completely new to me because under the hood, ServiceNow only runs a Tomcat. No? It's an application server from the open source world. So I was familiar with this, also with implementing in JavaScript and all the HTML stuff and so on. So for me, it was just another technology, no? And therefore it did not start from the beginning.
I wonder if you wouldn't mind giving us your impression about what the word architect means today. I think, like you said, right, a few years ago, it was kind of like not a word we used. And
Mm.
now it's a word we use frequently, but it didn't come with like a really coherent set of accepted principles. And now we have
Yeah.
certified technical architect, certified master architect programs. And so I wonder if you could give Mike's view of what it is an architect does and maybe a day in the life of an architect.
Yeah, as you said, it's my personal view, and I had a lot of discussions over the years regarding this word, and it was also interesting to see how ServiceNow interprets this word. Now, we have solution architects, we have platform architects, we have now this training of a certified technical architect. And all these words exist in the world of ServiceNow. And beside of that, I was familiar with a software architect or an IT architect, which is more working with networks and so on. And it's difficult to find a common definition of this. But in my personal view, an architect is the translator between the customer requirements and what we have to implement. And he's also often the lead for the developers, someone they can challenge with. And he designs the architecture, whatever an architecture is, no? Maybe a Java-based software architecture, it's that there's more to do, or a kind of architecture in ServiceNow. There are less possibilities to design this architecture, but you have some ways. And I think, and also this role is changing over the time. What we define as an architect today is maybe different from what we see in 10 years, for example. Now, it's interesting how this role is developing over the years. So I'm more the one who is fighting together with the developers against any problems and try to find solutions. I'm a problem solver, and I'm not someone like you who is talking about the value of something. This is, I know I have to learn this. Give me a problem, I will solve this. This is my definition of an architect.
Why do you think you're not? Hold on a second. Let me see if I want to ask this question. I kind of want to like dive deeper into problem solving versus value finding.
Yeah, the problem is, I took this CTA training, and I learned a lot about presenting and defining solutions and so on. But in my real life, in my projects, it's difficult to get this opportunity to apply this knowledge. In my current project, I'm handling issues. I implement something and not only configuring, really implementing software in larger packages and so on. And so I have not the time to do this job because maybe here in Germany, but maybe also in other countries, we have roles which fill this gap. We sales oriented people who has the first contact with the customer, who try to convince them. And so for me, there are not that many chances to live this role in a way ServiceNow thinks an architect should act.
So you're saying it could just be a separation of duties at your current employer, whereby, say, some top tier business analyst does all the value propositioning stuff versus you solve the technical barriers to deployment. Does that sound accurate?
Now, I think there's no hard border. I'm also part of any presentations to the customer. I support my colleagues with informations and illustrating the solution, but not that often in other companies or in other countries. At the moment, but maybe only at the moment, I'm more involved in doing the project stuff, in developing something, working with my team in India and so on. Less this customer contact and gaining any new projects.
So one question I get a bunch, I wonder what your thoughts on it are, is do you necessarily need a development background to be a good architect?
It's a good question. I know that many people discuss this. I think if you deal with ServiceNow, it's not necessary because a lot of the platform is defined. You cannot change it. You have no contact to all the levels below your UI. You cannot control the application servers. You have only small options to change something, to scale something, but this doesn't really require any technical background. You can read a lot. You can get familiar with all the technical stuff if you are ready for learning something new. And so I think it's possible to enter the world of ServiceNow without any technical background, but you have to be willing to learn. You cannot do something without learning. You have to take the trainings, you have to read, you have to watch videos, you have to try something in your PDI, but all this you also have described in all your videos and so on.
What was one of the hardest ServiceNow concepts for you to learn when you first put hands on it?
I cannot give you any example because I'm always curious to learn something new. Sometimes it takes longer, sometimes not. I really have no idea what, for example, GRC is. I never had contact with this. No? So I have no idea what this is. But whatever I touched, I could understand really fast because my brain is open for this technical stuff, and it's difficult for me to answer this.
Well, I think you gave a great answer, kind of just publicly showing that you don't know anything about GRC is kind of right up there. I myself, even though I know CMDB, I know discovery, I know how it works mechanically, I just find it excruciatingly difficult to get the value proposition of it, right? I'm not talking about the book value proposition. I'm talking about you crash land at a customer. They're like, we need a CMDB to blah, blah, blah. And, how do you put it all together such that it actually provides something valuable and not just turn into constantly refining your discovery so you're not pumping in 10 million CIs every discovery phase. So
yeah, discovery is one of the difficult disciplines we have in ServiceNow. I have a skills in discovery, and it was really hard to pass the exam. You need a chance to really apply your knowledge because after 1 year you can start from the beginning regarding discovery.
Yes, I feel like it's a technical difficulty that is not the same as coding, right?
Yeah,
it's more to
course.
do with infrastructure and networks and protocols and that kind of thing. And so I think it's one of the hardest things for newcomers to pick up unless they've come from IT, a solid background in IT. Would you agree?
Totally, I agree. And yeah, I cannot imagine how you can solve this if you have no experience with the technical background.
Mhm.
It's hard.
Well, speaking about hard, we talked about like what was the hardest thing to learn, or things that we're weak at, and I want to just emphasize here to the people listening, like it's okay. People talk to me about how I learn ServiceNow. It's just like, what do you mean learn ServiceNow? It's kind of like saying learn construction now. You know, there's so many disciplines, deep disciplines that take a lifetime of mastery or years of mastery. You couldn't possibly learn the entire thing. So you kind of got to pick and choose. And it's okay to look at stuff and say, like, I'm not going to do that. I'm never going to do that. I'm going to focus my efforts here. But the question I wanted to ask you was, like, in your 3-year journey, what, not necessarily the thing you're most proud of, but what was the hardest thing that you had to contend with?
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you ever been in a situation where you're like, holy cow, I don't know if I'm going to make it. And I'd love to hear about that and how you dealt with it.
Yeah, it was not any kind of problem I had to solve. I took the CTA training. I was member of the first official class at the end of 2021. And I had completely different expectations regarding this program. I thought we would do a lot of technical stuff, implement something, create awesome applications and so on, but nothing of this. We learned how to present something, how to create presentations, how to emphasize the value and so on. And we always had to prepare something and we always had to present something in front of all the participants. It was always on Friday. So, and I was really nervous. I never had done this before in front of a camera. No? I like staying in front of a class. No? I like teaching something, but this was completely new to me, this situation. So, and I was really nervous. I trained my presentation many, many times. So, and then I had a blackout. I started sweating and this little panic monster in my head said hello to me. And yeah, I think I had to stop the presentations and yeah, it was a great help. I was really supported by the facilitator. It was Sean McLean, and he calmed me down. And this was my point where I jumped it into the water without able to swim. So now I'm able to sit in front of a camera, no? Talking to you like this. It was not possible 2 years ago. And so this was my hardest lecture I had in my life. So it's not ServiceNow related, but it is something like I learned a personal skill.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like part of my journey, like it's unquestionable to me that ServiceNow has made me a much better man in many facets, not just what kind of solutions I could build, but kind of forcing me to confront and endure situations that I didn't like, right? So, man, shout out to Sean McLean. Thank you for helping Mike up on that, and really appreciate everything you do in the community, Sean. So big shout out to you. All right, we're approaching the end of the recording. Mike, is there anything that you would advise ServiceNow newcomers on?
Be curious. Always ask. Do not things someone has recommended. No, always ask, no, why is it that way? How can we do it better? Where can I get the knowledge and open the mind and learn? Everything is out there. I also started from the beginning. I had nothing. My first contact with ServiceNow was entering this word in the Google search, and then I got the first results, and I started searching and looking into all the portals there are in the community and videos, and so everything is there. You just have to find maybe the right answers, and this takes a while. But you also can ask someone. So therefore, if you have no idea how to proceed this journey, ask someone. There are ways to get help. For example, the ServiceNow mentoring program. I'm also a mentor in this program, and also in the community, a lot of people are giving their support. And you need help, but in the ServiceNow universe, there are many people who want to help you, who want to give support, and this is something I only experienced in this ServiceNow world. I never had this experience before in any of the other technologies or vendors or however you want to call this.
That's a good point. So shout out to Dan Brunn, shout out to Mark Obi, shout out to all the members of the ServiceNow community. I didn't have any experiences prior to ServiceNow, community-wise, but it's something I hear all the time from people. It's that there is something different here. So appreciate all of you who helped build that. All right, Mike, we are at time. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate everything you do in the community. Thank you so much.
I have to think it was a great pleasure, Robert. Thank you.
If you're a ServiceNow expert looking for better opportunities, but maybe your resume or LinkedIn profile isn't doing you justice, reach out to me via LinkedIn or the email pictured here, as I offer both career coaching and recruitment services. And if you're a ServiceNow customer or partner, you heard that right. Robert Fedoruk now does ServiceNow recruiting. With a 1,500 subscriber YouTube channel and mailing list, and thousands of LinkedIn followers, let's make sure your open positions get first go at the prodigious pool of ServiceNow resources. Reach out via the email pictured here.